you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Diego Dario. And in tonight's game plan, we'll find out more about the new kids on the block in the PBA 3x3 scene, the JNT Express.
We'll also take a look at some of the key veterans expected to ball out in the upcoming UAAP Season 85 Men's Basketball Tournament. And we'll go through a list of the top 5 NBA centers to watch out for in the upcoming season. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Well, a new squad is rising up in the ranks of Season 2 of the PBA 3x3. In the first leg, JNT Express is off to a hot start after taking down the Titans and the Beermen in their debut. Now joining us tonight, repping the JNT Express squad, is Robin Ronyo, Jeric Teng, Keith Datu, and Coach grabe, Coach Ryan Amonte Claro. Welcome to the game.
Thank you.
Actually, paunang question ko, gusto ko itanong agad sa kanila.
Oh.
Pag online delivery ba, free shipping kayo?
Ayan, free shipping yan.
Matic.
With that, I was not ready for that, but I'm so proud na alam nyo yan. Ito, Coach, ikaw muna. Kasi syempre, putting up a new team together, getting all the right pieces in, syempre mahirap yan eh. What were you looking for in the players that were selected dito sa JNT to get them ready for yung PBA 3?
First and foremost, we tried to look for yung defensive minded na players. That's why we have, as you can see, we have Marvin Hayes, Joseph Sedovipa, Robin Ronyo. Si Jeric lang yung...
I was going to say eh. Katabi mo pa si Jeric eh.
Then we have Keith Datu. No? So,
And Jeric, no, quarterfinals agad kayo when you got here to. First leg nyo pa lang. Pero ano yung mga factors na nakikita nyo? First time pa lang kayo naglaro together in a leg, pero you guys did well. Ano yung nakikita nyo na ginagawa nyo maganda dito sa 3x3?
Siguro, I think what's the most consistent sa games namin nung leg 1 is our defense na. Like what Coach Ryan said, I think yun yung blueprint ng team namin eh. We want our defense to be consistent. Kahit malas kami or swerte, dapat laging consistent yung defense namin. And yun, luckily, we made it to the semifinals.
Robin, you have experience, syempre. In this group, you probably have one of the more experienced players here. Anong nadala mo in terms of yung experience, in terms of leadership, trying to make sure this team steps up to the next level?
Well, para sa akin, yun nga, gaya nga sabi nila Jeric and Coach na madadala ko sa team yung experience ko tsaka yung defense. Kumbaga, tutulungan ko yung defense at syempre, yung outside shooting ko. Yun. And syempre, thankful ako and grateful ako kay Coach Ryan na kinuha ko dito sa team, sa JNT Express. Talagang pinagpilian niya talaga, pinagplanuhan niya talaga itong team na to.
And Keith, last year, we were expecting you in the draft, but that was kind of delayed. Now you're here playing for JNT in the 3x3 level. What can you say about the level of competition, the physicality here in 3x3?
The physicality definitely took me by surprise, but getting used to it still and continuing to grow as a team. So,
Coach Ryan, how are you getting him used to the physicality? Kasi it's hard to teach the physicality of Philippine basketball.
sayang wala si Marvin Hayes. It's more on Marvin Hayes eh. Plus you have Joseph Sedovipa. So, two of the best defensive players we have in the 3x3 for sure. And plus yung championship caliber with Robin, Marvin, and Joseph. So, they're trying to push him every single practice.
Well, Keith, I want to know more about you because we've seen Jeric before, we've seen this guy before, Coach Ryan.
Mga
also,
UAAP legends to pa,
UAAP legends eh. So we want to figure out you a bit and try and get to know you better. Of course, for those who don't know, from Chico State in California, you come in here and you start out 3x3, you talk about the physicality. How has adjusting to Philippine basketball been like for you though, this entire journey, the time you're here?
well, this is my first time actually moving away outside of California, so it's a big culture shock, not just in a foreign country, but also on the basketball court. Not getting calls, getting away with some illegal movements. So it's the physicality is definitely a big adjustment.
And they're legal here.
They're legal, especially in the 3x3 though. I mean, Coach Ryan, di ba sa 3x3, very physical. I mean, you've been here for a very long time. can you explain kung yung level of physicality, ano yung mga hindi pwede sa 5-on-5 na pwede dito sa 3x3?
Ang normal na nagagawa is more on the holding eh.
Mga hand check.
Holding, hand check, and yun nga, yung, of course, yung hand check na sometimes na-extend eh. Alam mo na mga extension ng mga players. Kaya I think yung some of the PBA players na nasa 5-on-5, pag pinilaro mo dito, mag-e-enjoy.
For sure, for sure.
Tatawa na lang si Robin eh. Pero, Jeric, this group, syempre, the hope and the potential is always to challenge for the championships, challenge for the points, and obviously end up sa grand final. Kamusta naman yung experience mo with after the first leg and yung mga adjustments na as a group and individually you think needs to be done in the upcoming legs?
Actually, nasa reserve ako nung first leg. I'm still recovering from my wrist injury.
Yeah.
Pero based on what I've seen, yun ang we have to make small adjustments lang on our defense. We had some lapses. But overall, I think we really played well. We were just put together for less than a month. So, yun, we're gonna improve as we get along to the other legs.
So, are you excited ka ba to experience yung physicality na yun? Kasi grabe nakakita namin.
Asan na nasanay si Jeric dyan, Pao?
Sobrang, iba yung physicality and yun hopefully I still makuha ko pa yung conditioning ko. Pero yun nga, si Keith na bahala.
We'll translate that for you later on.
We told Keith before na umakyat siya sa PBA, 5-on-5, champion mo na.
Yeah, there you go. And
I like that.
Robin, ikaw, one of the leaders ka na rin dito ng team eh. Vet ka na in terms of 3x3. Paano mo sila linilid? Yung iba mas matanda sa'yo, iba mas bata. How can you be a leader when it comes to 3x3?
How do you lead the Marvin Hayes?
Oo, diba?
Well, sa team naman namin, lahat kami leaders eh. Kumbaga, sa amin, pag may opinion, suggestion, so nakikinig kami sa isa't isa. So, pantay-pantay.
Coach Ryan, based on what you've seen sa first leg, the competition so far, ano masasabi mo sa unang-una sa field at the moment, considering yung mga makakalaban nyo and some of the new players coming in.
And playing coach pa yan, coach and player's perspective yan.
Secret weapon yan.
Hindi, for sure ito, it's the second season eh.
Yeah.
So it gets tougher kasi some of the teams, like yung nag-champion niya in Token Tex, they've been together for the whole first season. So it's more on familiarity. Most of the teams, they learned a lot from the first season. Luckily for us nga, wala na yung mga team like nila Coach Willie. Grabe yung mga team nila. And luckily, we got Marvin still, you know.
Yeah.
That's why when we made this team, we look for yung we're sure now we can contend.
I can guarantee you, somewhere Coach Willie is smiling.
Nandito lang sa studio.
Nandito lang kasi.
We have to call him out.
We just have to call him out. But then, of course, gentlemen, first of all, congratulations on the first leg and hopefully more progress moving forward. Can't wait to see you play. Keith, can't wait to get more used to all of the Philippine culture and basketball. Excited for some calls to go your way. And Robin, good luck rin.
Thank you guys. Share nyo na lang yung code ng free shipping.
Actually, JNT nga, oh. Jeric Teng.
Jeric Teng pala to.
Jeric
Okay,
Teng.
thank you guys. Thank you. Now, let's move over to some college hoops because when we return, we'll talk about some important veterans and how they'll be a key piece for their squad in the UAAP. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. In just a few weeks, the UAAP is returning with a lot of exciting plots to look out for, and one of the biggest stories is the return of some key veterans. Now joining us to talk about the leaders of their squads in the UAAP is UAAP analyst Willie Wilson. Coach, welcome back to the game. We'll be seeing you more because UAAP is coming nearer and nearer.
And it can't come soon enough, honestly speaking.
Absolutely. You know what's funny, Jegs? Because he wasn't here up until Coach Ryan mentioned his name and suddenly he just popped out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we have Coach Willie here.
He had to shout him out.
Oh yeah, had to have to do it. All right, so this is what's going to happen because we actually have two analysts here. Jego will also be part of the panel of the UAP. We're going to go through the list of Coach Willie, and Jego's going to tell him why he's wrong. So,
Or right.
I don't know about that. All right, so first off, Coach, you picked out John Lloyd Clemente. Can you explain why we should watch out for him as one of the vets to watch out for?
All right, so John Lloyd, JLC for short, has always been a bucket. We've known that from pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. But him coming off that Phil Oil stint where they won the championship, he won the MVP award, obviously a mythical 5. He has now become the team leader, and he's adding that learning how to win and carry his team factor, which is huge when it comes to, close games and the game situation. So that's big for me.
All right. So okay, I'm not gonna ask you to say why he's wrong, but rather, do you think that this is gonna be a great jump-off point para sa inyo? Kasi syempre, champion sa Phil Oil, you have a guy there who has individual accolades as well. Is that going to be somewhat a momentum point for NU?
I think that's a big boost for NU because they have that collective experience of actually winning and defeating some of these UAAP teams. So when they get into the UAAP, they'll be like, okay, we beat some of these guys, maybe some players didn't play on the other side, but we were still able to get wins, do the right things, both on offense and on defense. And I agree with Coach Willie. I think JLC, this is his year. He had, I think, 13 points per game in the Phil Oil.
Yeah.
That's like a few points more than what he averaged last season in the UAAP.
So let's see whether or not he can take his act in the upcoming season to a new level and hopefully guide NU to even greater heights. Now moving on to LJ Gonzalez, Coach. So what about LJ makes you feel like, ooh, gotta watch this kid?
Well, I mean, even going back to last season, LJ was a marked man for every team that they were up against. So he was one of the featured players on that FU squad. Now, with the loss of RJ Barrientos, he has even more now put on his shoulders, and I expect him, coming off of that season, to be even better coming into this coming season.
Jegs, when you got a guy like LJ who has to not necessarily fill in the shoes, but rather be able to help close that gap that is the size of a Barrientos, how difficult is that? But how exciting is it for him, knowing that he'll probably have more shots up?
You know, Pao, back when I was still playing in the UAAP, LJ was actually a rookie in my senior year, and I like what I see from LJ and his development. He's having a mid-range jumper now, also a three-point shot, because the first thing that when he did in the UAAP when he came in was just to drive and attack. That was his strength. And I played against him in a pocket tournament in Davao, and he has the green light from Coach Olsen. And I'm excited to see that same green light that Barrientos had. And let's see how LJ does it with him.
And still, nobody can stop that drive. That's his bread and butter, and he's so good at it.
Speaking about guys with green lights, lights so green they're probably neon. You got a guy here that, Coach, at least according to a writer, she says that being looked as a possible high draft pick next season, Jerome Lastimosa.
Definitely, man. That's Mr. Clutch right there, Mr. Fourth Quarter. I mean, how many buzzer beaters did he have last season? When the game is on the line, you put the ball in his hands and he puts it in the basket.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see him play. He can score on anybody, great isolation player, and just ice in his veins.
Yeah. And you know what, Coach Willie, we have a plus here because he just scored on Jego, if I'm not mistaken, recently. So can you tell us more about this kid?
You know, when you guys had the Adamson Soaring Falcons here in the game, they kept on mentioning the pocket tournament in Davao, and you know what? How we lost to Adamson was from a game-winning 3 from Jerome Lastimosa. And, Coach Willie is on point when it comes to being clutch because Lastimosa also back in 2018 in the Final Four, he hit that, game-tying 3 to force overtime against us. So He's clutch.
Coach Willie, scoring percentages here, I just have to mention it because the numbers are really, really fun to look at. 51% from 2, but then from 3, he's shooting from 41%.
Wow, that is high.
And he's always going to be a marked man. Do you think that we're going to see an even higher jump, a bigger jump from Jerome Lastimosa, knowing that he has a bit more experience?
Definitely. I mean, again, not the quickest, not the fastest, not the strongest, but so much court savvy. Him being able to weave his way into the basket, get up those floaters, those off-balance layups. He just has that knack for getting that ball into the basket.
The last guy we're going to talk about here is someone that I think we all could agree could be a pro and would be a pro if he wanted to. Itong si Ange Kouame. And Ange Kouame, for all those who don't remember, was a beast last time around, Coach. But then why should we watch out for Ange Kouame this time?
Well, you know, he's coming off of injury, but in that system, you know, I call it the system that Ateneo runs, it will always have Ange being productive.
Yeah.
And with all the experience that he's accumulated in the system with those guys, it revolves around him. He's the sun in that system.
Yeah.
In the solar system. I like
Yep.
it.
He's
I like the analogy,
He's
Coach.
the sun.
Jegs, when you look at Ange Kouame, do you think that he's going to come into this one with a little chip on his shoulder, knowing that one, got an individual award, but did not win the championship, and right now he's coming back from injury, and people are going to wonder, hey, is he going to be a bit slow? Is he going to be a bit different? Do you think that there's going to be something, I guess, extra for what we're going to see from Ange Kouame?
Well, Ange Kouame is still 6'11", and
Yep.
you can't teach that. You can't, tell anyone to be 6'11", and he's still gonna be that anchor for
I wish we
Ateneo.
could, though.
You know the effect of Ange Kouame in point guards like me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even dare to drive and try to lay the ball up. I'll just go shoot threes and mid-range jumpers. That's how he affects the whole dynamic of the game.
But you're good at those, though.
Yeah,
You're
I
very
mean,
good
yeah,
at those.
Yeah, I like that, Coach. Thank you. Thanks for the compliment.
All right, so while these guys are making friends with each other, Coach Willie, don't go anywhere because after the break, we'll go through Coach Willie's list of top 5 NBA centers to watch out for in the upcoming season. Stay tuned. You're watching again. Welcome back to the game. The new season of the NBA is fast approaching and fans are on the lookout for the top players to watch out for in each position. Now, joining us tonight to list down his picks for the premier big men of the league is NBA Philippines All-Star writer Coach Willie Wilson with a brand new segment called Willie's Picks. Funnily enough, you now know who his picks are because they were right there in that graphic. But let's pretend we don't. Okay?
But was that in order though? That's the big
we'll go with
question.
the
That's
order.
big
All right.
question.
So he listed it down from 5 to 1. We're going to start out. Jego is also a NBA Philippines All-Star writer, so he will be reacting violently or nicely. I don't know. They were friends a while ago.
Let's see.
Yeah, so up first, we have my former friend, Rudy Gobert. Now with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now with the Minnesota
How do you feel about that, though, Pa?
Let's not talk about
Okay,
this,
okay.
all right? So Rudy Gobert is your number 5. That's really interesting. So, 3-time DPOY, first time with a weird setup considering he's with Kat. Why is he number 5?
Okay, and that's basically why I have him number 5. He's the best big man or the best defensive player, not just big man, of his generation. I have him at number 5 because he's stepping into a new situation in Minnesota with another center, which we haven't really seen done successfully since maybe Tim Duncan and David Robinson, or
Yeah.
Yep.
so, I don't know. Theoretically, it looks great because Cat's such a great outside shooter, and he's so impactful rolling to the basket, but it's still a wait-and-see type situation.
So I just want to play devil's advocate here. Jegs, would you have put Kat ahead of Rudy Gobert considering that Kat is now basically splitting the 5 minutes with Rudy Gobert, and when they're both on the floor, you have two centers, practically speaking, defensively?
Honestly, I wouldn't think it's gonna be a problem because Kat plays more of outside in, and then Gobert likes to, be in that dunker's position. And I think defense, no matter what team you're in, you're gonna be a good defender, whether you're, in the Utah Jazz, sorry pao, or the Minnesota Timberwolves. What that's gonna do also is, cover up the mistakes of D'Angelo Russell,
Yes,
of
and he makes a
Anthony
lot of them.
Edwards on defense, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna help them.
So let's see how Rudy does there. Rudy the Duck. Moving on, though, you listed this guy as an underrated big man, or one of the most underrated big men, and I completely agree. Talking about Domantas Sabonis of the Sacramento Kings. Why should we finally watch him?
Okay, so I look at him as Jokic light, okay? Like a mini Jokic. This dude gets triple doubles. He's been playing in Indiana, so he's not on TV that much.
Yeah.
Now he gets in a new situation in SAC. Still won't be on TV that much, but the ball will now be in his hands. The offense will go through him. He does just so much offensively. The defensive end needs a little bit more work, but offensively, it's all there. He has the moves to score. He can facilitate for others, given you see the assist numbers.
Yeah.
And the rebounding. I mean, he is just such a great rebounder.
So Nikola Light, according to...
Honestly, I feel bad that Coach Willie is putting some respect into Domantas' name because I always pick him in NBA fantasy. And now a lot of people will pick him when they see him because triple-double automatic
Yes, that's
for
numbers.
Domantas Sabonis.
Absolutely.
No
Now-
blocks, though. No blocks.
No blocks, no blocks.
Now moving on, this is really interesting because Coach Willie has this next guy pegged as the DPOY this year, and that guy is Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. So, Coach, please indulge us. Why is he the next DPOY?
Okay, so this is coming from Coach Eric Spoelstra. The Miami Heat's top 5 ranked defense is built around the strengths of this guy,
Yes.
Bam Adebayo. They play a lot of zone, and they play a lot of switching on ball screens. Why can they do that with their center? It's because this guy can guard positions legit. 1 through 5.
Yes.
He's strong enough to anchor the paint, and he's quick enough to lock down point guards. That's unicorn-ish in the NBA.
All right, so we're not going to argue that too much, Jegs, but then since we're
I
running out
agree.
of time here,
Totally agree.
we're going to talk about the top 2 picks because the order here is what's interesting to me. The order is what's interesting to me of who's number 1 and who's number 2. So the last 2 players are Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. Coach Willie has it with Nikola Jokic as number 2 and Joel Embiid as number 1.
So does this mean that Coach Willie had Joel Embiid for MVP last season?
I actually did.
Oh,
I actually
goodness.
did.
All
I actually
right.
That
did.
is a
I
hot
actually
take.
did.
All right, Coach Willie. So please defend that take. Obviously, they're both amazing. They have to be on this list for sure. But you put Embiid over Jokic. Why?
Okay, Jokic has 2 all-star caliber players coming back in Porter and Murray. He won't have to set the table so much this coming season. Expect those numbers to drop down a bit. The impact will still be there. Embiid, same beast, same animal, will be eating the same way.
Oh my goodness.
You know what?
Jegs, what? Agree? Disagree? Where are you at?
First time I heard it, I disagree, but I remember that we're talking about the next season, and
Yes.
that's a good point by Coach Willie when he talked about Nikola Jokic having Jamal Murray back and MPJ back. So that's going to be very interesting when it comes to the numbers of these two players. So I think I agree with Coach Willie. I almost disagreed, but then last minute I agreed. Just like Jerome
I just
Estevos,
want to
think.
point out that Coach Willie listed Joel Embiid as his runaway pick for MVP, which some guys might have been like, are you sure about that? But anyway, Coach, really appreciate it. You can catch all of his stories that he's going to come up with on the NBA Philippines website. Of course, Jago is also going to be a writer there. I'm not quite sure what features you have in store, but it'll be a big surprise.
I wrote about my experience about Jalen Green, so watch for that.
All right, watch out for that. Again,
Sure.
Coach Willie, thank you very much. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much
Thanks,
for having
Coach.
me, guys.
And thank you guys for joining us. I'm Diego Dario.
Catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. I'm Paulo De Rosario, and this has been The Game.